So I love a good video on hospitality design. Let's take a look at this video on hotel room design, and this should be a good one.
Vanishing wardrobes, disappearing minibars, sinks in the entryway, and even this. Your hotel room has been shrinking. See, with the rise of Airbnb and plateauing hotel occupancy rates, operators are on the hunt for the most profitable design. And select service hotels, which offer scaled-back amenities, are outpacing full-service hotels when it comes to profits. Take Marriott's mid-tier Moxie brand. Its rooms are a little over half of the size of the average American guest room, and yet its rooms generate up to 20% more revenue than its peers. But shrinking rooms and growing profits without eroding guest satisfaction isn't easy. So how do hotel operators keep you happy with a smaller room? To halve the size of a standard 348 square foot American hotel room, you need to get rid of a lot of stuff.
We've overcrowded the room a bit here to make the point.
The first thing to go is the closet, which usually takes up around 7 square feet of space.
The wardrobe can get eliminated if we utilize this hanging hook system along this wall.
Other hotels choose to install more open plan closets.
This is much easier.
So, as I'm watching this, I'm oscillating between, as a guest, what am I okay with, and then as someone who is helping someone build out a profitable space, what's going to work. And I think this is one of these examples where you really need to make the right brand promise to the customer. And if folks know this is what they're getting, for some folks, they'd rather something that feels new and clean and well organized over more space and older, maybe not as up to date. And so I think that set of trade-offs is really critical in all of this, and ensuring that the brand promise and people understand what they're going to actually be signing up for.
Easier to clean. It's also much less likely that a guest will forget something.
Along with the closet, irons and ironing boards can also be removed and instead replaced with a shared laundry space in the lobby. And while it may seem like a small cost saving,
I get that's a cost saving one. Who wants to iron their clothes down in the lobby or on the third floor? I don't know. I mean, again, all of these make sense, but you got to find the right balance. And I personally don't travel with the type of clothes that I need to iron a lot, but for some folks that's really critical. And so I wonder how many folks that are kind of turned off by the fact they got to go downstairs and iron their clothes in front of other folks. And if you're running late or you hadn't planned and you get at this place and you don't know that's how they do it, how many calls do they get down to the front desk of asking, hey, where's the iron? They're like, oh, it's down here. So again, these are all ideas that are really interesting to hear about as you optimize a space, but there is a balance on how it impacts the customer experience.
For the hotel, removing items from every room soon adds up. Then there's the work area. Instead of having a large fixed desk with a chair, which normally takes around 8 square feet, designers can deploy fold-out desks and collapsible chairs. Gone too is the minibar, saving 2.5 square feet. Because while it may seem like an obvious potential cash cow for a hotel,
they're labor intensive. They have to be checked and restocked on a daily basis.
And keeping labor costs low by making rooms quicker and easier to turn down can drive big savings.
Can the housekeeper easily clean that glass surface but also clean a wood surface with 2 different cleaning agents? All of those things are carefully considered.
But there's one part of the room that can't be shrunk in the same way.
The bathroom is one of the key indicators of a quality of stay. If we can allocate more space to the bathroom, it does increase guest satisfaction.
Even here though, it's possible to make the room feel more spacious while still halving it, like opting for a barn door or moving the basin out of the bathroom entirely.
The notion here is that the circulation in the corridor from the entry could be utilized for other functions.
So this makes sense on the space. Again, if you're doing a retrofit, you got to figure out the plumbing and what's the cost to run plumbing to that sink. Now, it's a sink, so it's not super complicated, but simply moving that over has a real cost. And I don't know. The idea that you're brushing your teeth in that sink, maybe somebody's getting their hair done, if somebody's sleeping or maybe not quite getting ready in the bed, and the person they're traveling with is has a hair dryer, or I don't, just the commotion of not having a door here, I think, is tipping into over optimizing.
By making these changes, designers can save over 70 square feet of space and remove a whole bunch of costly amenities from every room. And part of the reason why they've been able to remove so much is because the way consumers choose where to stay has evolved. See, traditionally guests used to rely on diamond and star ratings from groups like AAA and Mobile.
To achieve a 4-star rating, you have to have a total cubic feet of storage, typically 3 drawers.
But now travellers tend to rely on social media, or ratings from sites like Google or TripAdvisor.
That is crazy that folks are saying, I want at least a 3-star. And it's like, well, that means you get this little drawer inside. Shows how these things can be gamed. I think the social rating in many cases is starting to surpass that. I still think if you're talking 4 or 5-star accommodations, that's still a filter that some folks consider.
Those rating systems are no longer design parameters.
But even though a hotel can now fit in more rooms, those rooms tend to command lower rates. So to improve guest satisfaction and profits,
you have to give them relief in the public areas. And remember, that creates an opportunity to sell.
That's why designers are putting more emphasis on expanding rating-boosting, profit-driving areas. See, the folding chair, the vanishing minibar, and even that disappearing iron didn't just save space in the room, it also encouraged you to go down to the lobby to work, drink, or do laundry, and spend money while you're down there. The minibar, for example, is instead replaced by an economical grab-and-go stand by the exit.
We've shortened the distance between restocking and purchasing.
Marriott says the grab-and-go in its Moxie Hotel in Banff.
And I've seen these concepts, and what works well here is you can get, I think, a better curated set of brands and a bit more of a selection than you can squeeze inside of that, tiny mini bar. So while I'm still not sold on the sink in the hallway or, kind of nixing the iron, moving the mini bar out to this shared common area makes a ton of sense.
Averages around $3,000 per month. And bars with their low hotel in Banff averages around $3,000 per month. And bars, with their low staffing requirements and high markup prices, can be a big source of revenue and a safer bet than gambling on a high-staffed restaurant.
Every single seat represents revenue potential, and in many projects, we maximize the total number of seats.
Ron says, for example, that one bar he worked on sat 52 people and required 3 bartenders. Adding just 1 extra seat would have required a 4th bartender.
It is a design consideration as we're trying to maximize number of seats versus minimize the amount of labor.
A key trick to making the bar a hit is to avoid making it seem vast and empty, and instead use lighting and design to make it look and feel busy.
Part of the experience of arrival is the validation that you have chosen well, that you have selected a hotel that is a place that other people want to be.
One very easy way to achieve this is to ditch the reception desk and have guests check in at the bar.
You'll have people occupying the seats, and you will be arriving at a place that already has some energy. There's an efficiency associated with staffing, so the same person who might be checking you in could also be serving drinks at the bar.
But all of these design tricks are pointless if a hotel nearby is doing exactly the same thing. So Ron's team conducts research about where a hotel sits in the community, mapping out rivals, the size of their rooms, and the number of amenities, and evaluating how satisfied guests are and how likely they are to recommend the hotel, known as GSS and ITR.
The competitors, they might actually be things that were further away, but had ambitious intent to recommend or GSS scores.
And to figure out how the bar should look and feel,
now we have to look at all the restaurants and all the bars in order to understand what are the open opportunities for us to do something unique and different.
The final step is to figure out demand generators, the museums, galleries, stadiums, transport hubs, and businesses in the area.
Who are the present guests that are coming to the market? Where are they staying? What services and amenities are they utilizing most?
That then enables designers to figure out exactly how much to invest in the hotel, where that money should be spent, and where there's a lucrative gap.
How could we position this hotel effectively?
I really think another thing here that they're hitting on is the importance of retail and other kind of amenities around this as far as destinations like, museums, etc. But ultimately, just the research before I think some of these folks are entering these markets are critical. I'm not sure how much you could do this as a simple retrofit. And so some of this may be, more for new concepts versus someone who is going to simply retrofit an existing spot, because I could see that being pretty expensive.
Perhaps under index.
And it's by over-indexing on those public spaces that select service hotels can achieve high GSS and ITR scores with smaller rooms. But according to Ron, the design of the hotel can only go so far to attract guests. Once it's been constructed, it's down to the operators to keep guests happy.
So much of the ultimate experience relies upon the management company and the operator to deliver on that hospitality.
Very interesting. All right, so I'm going to give that a thumbs up on a lot of great ideas there. I think, really for this type of video, it's less about, this is less about someone pulling in these ideas to go launch a new hotel concept, and more about how can you blend some of these into, different types of concepts. The idea of maybe a juice bar and a salon, that could be really interesting. And really that common area, I think, is ripe for ideas to blend. I did another video on stores within stores, and I think there's some lessons here that we can learn on that common area where you might be able to blend there. So, imagine someone is, I'm just going to use the salon as an example. If you had some pre-made, whether it's juices, coffee gets a little trickier because you actually have people, like a barista type job that needs to go prepare these. But if you have someone who is kind of booking appointments but can do grab and go type activities, that could be an interesting angle. And it could be, a health angle or other types of things that don't need a beverage permit or something like that for liquor. But really interesting concepts, and I'm still not sold that you should put the sink in the hallway. Other than that, very cool video. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.